wanted to conclude my description of the ethnobotanical research that underlies all the EPIC products with a little bit of discussion about why it's been such a great project for me and my family, and why I think the EPIC products have emerged as a real important component of the Nu Skin culture. When I came to Nu Skin, as I mentioned in our introduction, this was after having interviewed with several other very large cosmetic or personal care companies who wanted me to develop product lines. They were very kind to me, they were very great, but good laboratories. But when it came down to if they could return funds to help children, to help indigenous people, the answer was always no. When I met with Steve Lund and Blake Roney, they said, well, of course, that's why we have a company. In fact, Blake Roney said that the Force for Good is only 5% of what we do, but it's 95% of who we are. And I'm so proud of these projects and the way that it's helping indigenous people, children. Little children get surgery, they get they get schools, medical clinics, water supplies. It's really great to have a product that continues to return good things to the world. Secondly, the products, as far as I'm aware, are the very first full-fledged product line based on ethnobotany. Now, there's a lot of products out there, a lot of companies that produce products that have plants. And you can go to a lot of different places and buy plant products. They're interesting. I'm afraid I made myself a little bit of a nuisance one time because I went into a shop that sells body products and asked if I could have a hair balm that has bananas in it. I bought it, took it down to the healer in Samoa. Pela Lilo, I gave it to her, and she opened it up and she smelled it and she said, "This smells like bananas." And I said, that's right, it has bananas in it. And she said, well, what do you do with this? I said, well, we rub it in our hair. And she started laughing. And I mean, this was a 93-year-old woman. She started laughing and laughing. I was afraid she was going to fall over. Some of the children and grandchildren came running in saying, what's wrong? And Pela, laughing, said, these Palangi, these white people put bananas in their hair. And they started laughing, and everybody's laughing. And for the next day or two, as I'd walk by, people would see me and start giggling, because there is not a single indigenous culture in the world that gets up in the morning and rubs bananas in their hair. Many parts of the world, if you do that, you're going to get your head bit by a monkey. I mean, there's no reason to put bananas in. So I went back to the same shop that had sold me the product, and I said, I'm interested, why do you put bananas in this product? And they said, it's a plant. I said, yes, I'm a PhD botanist. I can certify bananas are indeed plants, Musicuminata. And then they said, would you please leave? So the big difference between EPIC and other products that have plants is EPIC only uses plants that have been used by indigenous people for centuries. Indigenous people are smart. They've surveyed their rainforests or their desert or their Arctic habitats. They figured out what plants work, what plants help protect their skin, make their hair beautiful, what plants improve their lives. We take that knowledge and we combine it with cutting-edge science and come up with the EPIC line. I mean, there's some of the products in the EPIC line, like Avapui Moni, which I'm so proud of. That's about as close as you can get to coming with me in my Jeep, going into the rainforest, going to the waterfall, cutting the Avapui plant, the Zingia brazarum, squeezing on your head. I mean, we have to have a product that when you open it up in Sapporo or in Oslo, Norway, or Bucharest, Romania, or Tucson, Arizona, it's as fresh as the day we made it. And so we've added a few things to that package, but it's very, very close. Another one that really, to me, encapsulates the whole company is Baobab Body Butter. Here's a product encapsulated and formulated from plants used by people in Africa. So we're providing them trade and economy. It's a wonderful product for skin moisturization. Every time a jar sells, a tree is planted in Africa. I mean, there's been enough jars sell now that there's a veritable forest that's been planted in Malawi. And the designers put up in the tree a little heart that indicates that we work for a company that has a heart. You know, Nu Skin is a company that makes dreams happen. When Barbara and I built, and with our friends, that first school in Falealupo on Savaii Island in Samoa, it was such a thrill to see the little children finally have a good school, and their teachers were there. It was such a thrill for us to see that the rainforest had been protected, the loggers had been sent away. In fact, after we did the covenant that the people signed to protect the forest, we stopped our van in the rainforest and sang happy birthday to it. That really fulfilled our life, and Barbara saw that very quickly in a way I don't even think I perceived. And yet, because of Nu Skin, we've been able to build over 300 schools and hospitals and medical clinics and water supplies and hydroelectric power plants for people in the remote parts of Borneo. It's really gone around the globe. And to think that as a company, Nu Skin is devoted to helping children live happy, productive lives, I mean, it's really enough to fulfill one's life. I'm very fond of the French philosopher Albert Camus. He wrote a lovely essay that I recommend to you called The Myth of Sisyphus. Sisyphus is the guy in Greek mythology that rolls a rock up to the top of the mountain in the afternoon, and then by the morning it's rolled back down. He has to keep rolling it up. Sometimes, you know, it gets to be, the world seems overwhelming. There's so many problems. And yet, here we are as a little company based in Provo, Utah, and we roll that rock up. And I love what Camus says. He says, and I'll translate this from French, he says, "The struggle to the heights is enough to fill a man's soul." We must imagine Sisyphus is happy. To me, to be involved with the wonderful distributors, to have such respect for our founders and their incredible scientists at Nu Skin, to be involved in using my skills as an ethnobotanist to produce products that my family and I love, it just doesn't get much better than that. So please allow me to end this little bit on ethnobotany, this little instruction that's come from my home, by saying thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for what you've done to sell these products, what you've done to get behind the Force for Good. If people ask you what do you do for a living, sure, you can tell them you're working with probably the most brilliant company and personal care marketers in the world, but you could have another answer. People say, what do you do for a living? You could say, well, I build schools for poor indigenous children around the world. I heal children's diseases. I protect rainforests. I protect coral reefs. I'm doing my best to make the world a better place, because I assure you that's what you're doing. Thank you so much for having me part of this wonderful company and making my dreams come true.